My wife was killed in a tragic accident, then I found out she was cheating. 2 months ago my wife of 10 years tragically passed away in a car accident, hit by a drunk driver in broad daylight. I cried non-stop for 3 days. We were planning on having kids and I had started a good paying job a year earlier and we just purchased our first home just 2 months before her death. I just couldn't and still can't believe she is really gone from my life. It's like just yesterday everything was heading in the right direction and would soon raise a family. She seemed happy in our marriage and stated how proud of me she was. The following week after the accident I received her phone, which was locked. After a week I found out how to unlock it by an obvious code I didn't think of earlier. I simply just wanted it to keep photos in her memory, photos of us and so forth. But I saw some odd things in her photos. Included photos of her in someone else's house, a house which I had never seen before, taking dirty images. I continued scrolling down and seen the most heart-wrenching thing I ever seen. Which was her with another man. It was nothing intimate but they were in a place that was obviously his. And just how close they were I just knew that this was an affair. The guy who my wife had an affair with, showed up at her funeral. I felt like I got stabbed in the gut when I realized I seen him there. I began reading her texts and first I found out that she was on her way back, from his place. 3 hours before the accident she texted him saying, "I'm on my way." I knew that meant he was the last one to see my wife. Not only see her but having an intimate moment with her, also she would still be here right now if she wasn't seeing him. I feel like I'm going through a death of a loved one and a breakup at the same time. She did this behind my back and will never know that I found out. In a way I feel she got to escape the heartbreak she put me through, although I fully understand death is much worse, and even knowing everything I know, I would never ever wish this or any pain upon her. I found out not only through her texts but her Facebook messages. Something that absolutely enrages me is that she told her closest friend that this guy from work wanted to take her out to dinner. Her friend encouraged her to go out with him. It enrages me because I knew her as well and in person she was always very nice. But my wife was asking her to get confirmation. Had she said no, you are married, do not go out with him, I honestly feel like she wouldn't have done it. But her best friend was like, oh, is he hot? Oh, do it. Go have fun. It's just enraging. This happened 6 months ago when she asked her friend about it. A few days later she talked to her friend about how after dinner she went to his place and made love with him multiple times. When I read that I honestly got physically sick. I honestly started going through a breakdown, vomiting in the toilet then crying on the bathroom floor. I just can't imagine that this stuff actually happened, but it did. How could she do this? But as the days passed and the initial shock began to slow down, I started piecing things together. The funeral I noticed something a little unusual, which was this best friend of hers, talking to one of her coworkers. This was a friend from high school and there was no reason she should have known any of her coworkers. But she was in fact talking to her coworker who she had the affair with. Then she came and talked to me, gave me a hug. The guy who my wife was having an affair with, came and shook my hand. Something about that just makes me feel sick. Like I was being humiliated in a moment of grief. There was him and her best friend who knew about her affair. I couldn't help but wonder, did her coworkers also know? It's been a month and I feel no closer to breaking away from the heartbreak. I miss her, I want her to be alive. If she was, I would probably even want to fix our marriage. But she's not here anymore. I still couldn't bring myself to read all of her text messages with him. There is hundreds and some are very explicit. My blood boils and my heart aches when I open their texts and I get hit with anxiety and an adrenaline rush, palms get sweaty and hands shake. But I feel it's important I knew everything. It just breaks my heart this guy did things with my wife she wouldn't do for me. The thing that blows my mind the most is that there were no warning signs at all, not one. Our marriage was good, she never did anything suspicious, our intimate life went on as normal. Just zero warning signs about it other than the fact she started wearing a little more makeup than usual. Then I blame myself for not catching on. Maybe this all could have been prevented, maybe I should have done this or that. I am broken and don't see myself ever being happy again. Edit, I have got a response back from her friend, stating that she is deeply sorry for encouraging the behavior and not taking my feelings into account. She never wanted me hurt and yada yada. Honestly, I don't feel any relief from her apologies. About the phone, I cannot bring myself to destroy all the truth. I feel like I must read through the entirety of my wife's texts with this man or I will forever go crazy wondering what did and didn't occur, how often and maybe get some answers on if they were lovers. Was it just lust or what did she plan on doing? Obviously in this state of trauma I cannot emotionally handle reading their conversations, but I decided to keep the phone, to read it all and then toss it and move on. Also for people telling me to piss on her grave, or saying this is karma, please drop it and don't comment. I loved her for over a decade and it's not going away like that. I still love this woman even with the disgusting things she has done. She was still my wife, a daughter and an aunt. She didn't deserve to get hit by some drunk driver and suffer with bleeding in her brain that ultimately caused her death. Please go away, I do not need this and I am not a sick-minded enough man to have those thoughts. For everyone else, thank you so much.